and hoes, boats and hoes. I gotta have me.
All right, everyone, welcome to Bolts and Hose podcast, episode number 43.
43. Welcome, buddy boy.
Cheers, Mr. Oliveira.
You're here. Good to see you.
Yeah, drinking our double splat today.
More double splat. So we missed you last week.
I know, yeah, we went to Tennessee, as you highlighted on the podcast. You notice they start making fun of me, and then I'm the one that does the editing, so then they get the banjo music when Austin and Bryce come in. So yeah, I just slipped in the banjo music. I was going to put like straw hats and then like black out one of your front teeth.
You should have. That would have been kind of funny.
That would have been awesome.
But instead, you come here as 6-shooter Kris today.
Yes, we're going to a concert tonight, and so we got a little bit of the Western garb on and the hat, which is traditional. You know, I don't want to stand out and look odd. So
really,
yeah.
So you're not going to look odd?
Not any more than usual.
All right, fair enough.
But this concert, it's a gentleman named Mike Ryan. He's from like the Dallas, Texas area.
Isn't that the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons?
No, well, it could be, but it's not the same guy.
That's Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Not
this
Mike.
guy looks like a football player. He's
really?
a big old dude, but he's a great country artist, Texas singer.
Is he handsome?
Very handsome. Yeah. I think so.
Good looking man.
I'm not an expert on the subject.
You are wearing a felt cowboy hat.
You're the one with banjo music with Austin. So what are we doing today? What are we talking about?
You know, I don't know. We didn't really talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
We had some topics, but I don't think we ever firmed it up.
I called Bryce in, and I always go through and look at current events and just look at oil and gas news. And there was an interesting article. I kind of talked to you a little bit about it, but you know, if you think about the economy, it doesn't feel like it's doing great, right?
Stock market is rocking and rolling.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm with you. It doesn't,
and it's weird though because it's so far up. It just doesn't feel like it should be
fake. It's all fake. I mean, it's got what? Why? I mean,
you're going to start a conspiracy theory on the Bolts and Hose podcast, Bryce.
Yeah,
it might go viral.
Let's do it. Okay.
No, but I'm with you. It shouldn't be doing this great. And there was all this gloom and doom talk about recessions and all this kind of stuff last year. And honestly, it never happened.
Right.
Really. I mean, it hasn't felt good, but at the same time, it's not doing that bad.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't paid too close of attention. I always look at gas, and I know that's kind of the topic we're going to talk on, but gas is always kind of a sign that you can, if it's super high, I think the economy's kind of going to shit.
Like you're talking about gasoline.
Gasoline,
okay.
Yeah.
Gasoline price.
If it takes, if it's $4 a gallon, we're kind of in trouble, right?
Yeah, sure.
If it drops down to $2.80, then I think everything is going okay.
Yeah.
And we're kind of there. I mean, oil's stabilized. I mean, that's part of the conversation.
The article was talking about the fact that the drilling rig count is low. I mean, when you look at the numbers, I wrote some of it down. I didn't bring it over, but when you look at the number of drilling rigs that were out there, it was 650 or something like that. And then that was November 22, let's say. And then if you look in November, then just a couple of months ago, I think it was around 450, let's say.
Yeah.
So it was down considerably. However, they were talking about the amount of oil that's being produced as far as barrels per day is at records highs because, there were three things that they were attributing it to. One was they were just drilling in better spots.
Yep.
They were drilling faster.
Yep.
And then
longer holes.
Longer horizontal drilling.
Yep.
To just increase capacity. So the drill count being down, but we're producing more than we ever had. As a matter of fact, I think it was November 23, it was about 13.5 million barrels a day or something, which was like a record. It was like a record high. So, and that's with less drill. So we're getting more efficient.
But I think that goes up.
That's interesting.
The more you drill, the better you get at it, right?
Mhm.
So I think technology's come a long way too.
Yeah. Well, horizontal drilling by itself.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Leaps
So-
and bounds, and it just keeps getting better.
Right now, as of today, your rig count in the U.S. is 619. It changed from last year. It's down 140.
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy. And you're producing more oil than you've ever produced.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a crazy topic. And check this out, though. So Canada has 232 wells, and they're down 17. So they're kind of on that same track.
Mm-hmm.
Internationally, they're up 64 from last year. So international is actually increased the amount of
Mhm.
wells, but I think they're cutting production,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Yeah.
So they're increased wells, but cutting production. We've decreased wells and are increasing production.
Yeah. So that really is the basis of what the article I was reading was about, was the fact that OPEC has historically dictated the price of oil because they will throttle that production back, which will deplete the reserves around the world, and that will drive prices up. And they have done that. They've throttled back. They have tried to deplete the reserves around the world. And it's frustrating for them because the U.S. continues to keep up with record production,
Right.
even with fewer wells. So their, I guess you could say manipulation of the supply
It's not as strong as
is
it
not
used to be.
having the impact that it once did. So we're being efficient and we're riding that wave of efficiency. So the question is, how long, will that efficiency last? Can we maintain that, sustain it?
I think so. I mean,
it's working right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you keep seeing all these huge acquisitions. I mean, there's like West Texas, man. It's like every week you're seeing a new acquisition, billion-dollar acquisition of someone taking over a midstream company, and so big companies are still investing out there. So that's another sign that hey, it's not going anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And even in the U.S., even outside of oil and gas, you look at unemployment rate. I mean, you're even seeing numbers
That's such a weird.
that are pre-COVID. Because you can make the argument that it was a big swing. And honestly, I mean, we don't get into politics, but I'm as conservative as the next guy. But honestly,
Obviously.
the unemployment numbers and the job numbers, and it all looks pretty good. The
Do you
stock
believe the
market.
unemployment number though? I think it is the biggest BS number.
There's games, yeah. There's
Right,
games
because I
that are
mean,
played,
isn't
yeah.
it based on the reported numbers? So you could be sitting at home, not actively pursuing a job, and you don't count to that unemployment number.
True.
So it's people actively pursuing jobs that do not currently have a job.
Yeah, it can be a bogus
Right.
number. It depends on the way you look at it.
Sure. So, I mean, again, we don't have to get into all the politics.
Yeah,
or everything.
but honestly, I think my feeling is most metrics, regardless of the way you look at it, it's a positive sign. So I think
Sure.
it's doing better than everybody expected, and we're actually on a decent path. So we're headed straight towards an election, and so who knows what's going to happen there? There's all kinds of games.
Boy, it's getting wild out there now.
It's crazy,
Right?
Yeah.
Good old Texas.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? What do you predict is the next step in Texas?
I think Texas is going to hold their ground, and I think they'll win that battle at the end of the day. I think states' rights are a big thing, and the federal overreach is they'll get tamped down on that. I think Texas will win that in the end.
And I just the federal government, they threatened to bring down the National Guard and everything. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they want to get
No,
in that war.
no,
right?
no way.
I mean, there's a lot of people predicting that was the next step, but
Yeah.
the more you sit back and think about it, they don't want to. That'll look really, really
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, not to sound too arrogant, but Texas is a big state, and it wields a lot of power. And
There's a whole lot of guns down here too.
That's
big
true.
fella.
That's true too. Yes,
A lot of them in your safe at the house,
that's true. Yeah, and in my truck.
and my neighbor and his neighbor, and
Yeah.
a whole lot of guns.
Yeah.
How many guns have you had stolen out of your truck?
A couple.
A couple.
I can count on one hand, but it took most of my fingers. No, yes, there have been a few.
A few pistolets.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's unfortunate. Houston is a wild place.
it is, but I mean, I think every place is a wild place now. You just got to be smart.
Yeah.
I mean, you read
I'm not the smartest guy. You know that though.
we do. I mean, I can't stop making. We've been making fun of Kris all week.
You know, I can take it. I'm secure enough
He
in
is.
my
He does.
manliness.
He does a good job
Yeah.
of handling the ridicule.
I'm okay.
He got a new camper top for his. He's got a cool trimmer, F250.
Yeah.
So it's got this sweet trimmer package, you know, black trim. And then
Nice
he puts
truck.
this goofball camper on the back of it. So he's got this F250.
It's a nice metal. They call it a smart cap. It's a really
It doesn't look
neat
smart.
deal, you know. And at some point, and you'll get this later in life, Bryce. You will learn that vanity is not everything. Sometimes practicality, and you just have to accept the fact that I'm an old man, and I will have to do what old men do.
But
at some
why?
point.
I mean, why? You don't have to do it.
You do. You'll see.
don't.
You'll see.
It's like-
I'm speaking with years of wisdom behind me, Bryce.
You're gonna start wearing like Crocs to work and sweatpants because it just feels good.
I've got a couple of pairs of Crocs.
I bet you do.
honestly, not just one. Some people own one pair. I've got a couple pairs.
I have a pair too.
and
Crocs
one
are
of
the
those
shit.
pairs are camouflage.
That does not surprise me at all. I could just see you like walking around the house in your short shorts and your camo Crocs.
I think it was a gift from Paul. I think Paul might have given me
Really?
those for Christmas. Because Paul's a Croc guy. Did you know that?
Doesn't surprise me.
He is serious. Now, we always get made fun of. The wives, they give us a lot of hell over that. But
They're easy though.
They
They're comfortable.
are easy,
I
yeah.
I can't hate on Crocs.
you just get a garden hose and you just spray them off and
Yeah.
they're good, right? So you don't have
Exactly.
to wait for them to dry. You just slip them right back on.
So are you a socks with Crocs guy or?
I can be. I mean, you know, it depends on what if you're wearing socks at the time. You're not going to take your socks off to put your Crocs on, right?
Sure.
You're going to just slip your Crocs on.
But who wears socks? Like, I mean, do you wear socks around the house?
You know, yeah, I think if your feet get cold and as you get older and you just turn into an old man, you get a camper top on the back of your truck, you start wearing socks to keep your feet warm.
Do you wear long johns walk around the house?
I don't, but you bring up a good point, bro.
You're going to very soon. Chris is going to be coming to work in his long johns
Yes.
in your bibs.
But yes, I'm not ashamed of it. I got a camper top. You know, I fish and I camp and that sort of thing, and I'm always carrying stuff in the back of the truck. And having an open bed is not very practical. You've got to store stuff back there, and you want to take care of the stuff that you store back there. So a camper top is very practical. But
So we're kind of doing it now, but this just gave me a good idea for like a future podcast. Like we just do a roast, you know, like Comedy Central roast.
Okay.
So we could have a panel of us just roasting you.
I will win this.
And
game,
then
baby.
every week, like, you know,
We'll
then
roast somebody
I'll
else.
be the roaster
Okay.
or the roasty, and it would be kind of fun.
I would love that actually.
We would,
I would love to do that.
yeah, it would be kind of fun.
Yeah. We might have to start another channel for that.
Yeah, right. That could get R and then X-rated very
No doubt.
quickly.
No doubt.
Very quickly.
What else? We were going to talk about something else, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that was the main topic. I mean, the oil is obviously a big part of our business. You know, we cater to oil and gas from downstream to midstream to upstream to, you know, the energy sector. So I think we follow it closely. We follow the turnarounds. We follow new projects, and it definitely affects what we're doing in our shop.
But we're busy right now. I mean, I think starting the first of the year, you never know how it's going to start out. But January was rocking and rolling.
Third best month
Ever.
ever.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
It is. I mean, can't complain.
Yeah.
It's stressful though, man. I mean, you know, the bigger you get, I think the more stress comes with the job.
More issues and more problems.
Yeah,
so
the more people you bring
definitely
in.
have to navigate. You can't ever relax. It is definitely a grind.
I mean, people look at us, they're like, man, you guys look like you're having so much fun. We got this big silly nut out. We do this silly podcast. You know, we're always cutting it up and having fun. But it is
A lot of work.
a lot of work. It is stressful. It's around the clock. I mean, we're getting phone calls and trying to manage things, weekends, nights, all the above.
We're not complaining though. I love it.
Not at all. Not at all.
It's great.
Your beard too. You know, I noticed I had some things come up on my phone. When we started this, your beard wasn't that white.
I can believe that. Yeah.
So you've gone like almost all white.
Because we started this, I was, what was I? So it was 6 years ago, so it would have been 42. I was 42 when we started.
And now you look
And
like
now
you're
we're
62.
48. Well, I feel like I'm 72, so. And I have the camper top to prove it.
And you do. And the Crocs and Long Johns. Allie, you want to come say hi? Say hello?
Hi on the podcast.
Allie used to do all the intros, and we don't do that anymore.
We need to start doing that.
Yeah, Allie, come say hello. Come on in.
Hi.
So Allie is my oldest daughter,
Yes.
and she was one of the first employees of Patriot Bolt.
She was.
Started
I think
doing
you're the
NTRs.
fourth. The fourth?
How old were you when you started that? Like
I
maybe
was
18?
18. Yeah, 18.
Yeah. And so it's been 6 years. You're 23 now,
almost
24.
24, yeah.
I had to think
Wow.
about that. I had to do the
Holy
math.
cow.
Yeah. And she's working in our logistics department,
Yes.
expediter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does a lot.
A lot.
She's the
Yeah,
glue.
it's hard to say
she's
what
the
you
glue.
do.
She's
You do
the
a lot.
glue that keeps us together.
And she's
I
she's not just an owner's daughter. She
She works her
phenomenal.
ass off.
She's really good.
You'll go out in the shop and Allie be out there sweating, pissed at the world, screaming and yelling.
She understands
Have those
stuff.
days.
She knows the system. I mean, for somebody that just entered the business for a couple of years, I mean, very impressive.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, she's
I did leave
smarter than I
yesterday
am in a lot of
to
ways.
Pick something up, and they almost burned the place down.
Yeah.
So,
We did have a little incident yesterday with a microwave and some popcorn.
yeah.
So
It's always an
apparently
exciting day at our
it's
shop.
instead of just hitting the popcorn button, somebody tried to put 3 minutes, but instead of putting 3 minutes, they put 30 minutes, and then they didn't come back after the 3 minutes.
Never a
And-
dull moment.
Yeah, never a dull
And there was a
moment.
fire, and to make it a long story short, we had to go get a new microwave today.
Yeah. I came to get my part. I need to ship.
Oh, this part? Which one?
Well, let's
This
talk about it real
All right, real
quick.
quick. Okay, so parts of the week.
She's got to ship the part. She's
Ship a part.
expedited.
Yeah, they let us borrow a part, and now it's got to go. So this is a cool part. I mean, check it out. It's a pointed B7. I guess what would you a cone point?
I'm going to call it an alignment
Plug.
guys. Then you're going to screw that into a vessel, and then you've got another flange or something with a hole in it that they're going to lower into that, and that taper on that point is going to help align whatever
guy
they're lowering
that on in. So
Yeah.
3/8/16 drilled tapped hole.
How many pieces was that out?
A lot, wasn't it?
51 pieces.
51 pieces. I think
So
we
there
got-
were probably 50 holes, and then they ordered an extra one.
And I think we got this order on what, Tuesday? I mean, Wednesday maybe?
End of day Monday.
End of day Monday. So
That is our life. Everything is
turn
rushed
around
and
quickly.
expedite
So
and quick.
cool part. Chris, don't sit on that. There you go. Allie. Thank you.
Thank you very
Don't
much.
tease me.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's shipping out today with a bunch. There's a bunch of double end studs. Yeah, that was an exciting order.
Yeah.
A lot of parts with that order, a lot of lines. That was one
It's
of those
amazing to
stressful
me.
orders.
I don't even see these parts anymore. I used to be so intimately involved in every order that came in and all this, and then I see it right when it ships. I was like, who is that? Where is that coming from?
Well, you're too busy buying felt cowboy hats and starched cowboy
Andrea
shirts.
got this for me for Christmas. So
I know, and you're wearing it all the time.
my
and
buddy over in Bandera, Gold Buckle Hatters.
Gold-
Check them out.
I'm telling you, I'm going to go buy one.
Gold Buckle Hatters. Go check. His name is Luke Shalab.
Luke
Luke
Shalab.
Shalab.
Okay.
He has a pet kangaroo on his ranch,
Really?
and it lives with him in the house.
Really?
Yes,
That's kind of crazy.
he has a pet kangaroo.
But aren't kangaroos like super aggressive?
Not this one. I see him all the time, petting it and feeding it out of his hand.
Did you ever see that video of
Yes.
that? Did
But
we talk
this
about
one
that
is,
before?
Is a pretty docile kangaroo.
Dude.
I'm not a.
That's like having a pet lion or a pet
zoologist.
tiger. I mean, at some point they become wild again, and they will.
I know.
Those things are swole. I mean, did you see that? That thing had muscles bigger
That's
than your head.
AI.
Do you
shit,
think
right?
so? Really?
Something. I don't
Oh,
know.
dude.
That can't be real.
Dude, I'm just-
This one is not like that. That's all I can say. I don't know the different genres of kangaroos that are out there, but this one seems pretty tame
Yeah.
and docile.
Texas kangaroos are not as crazy.
But
as
yeah,
Australia.
Luke, Gold Buckle Hatters, downtown Bandera, Texas, great place. And
Cool.
he's an awesome dude.
All right, I'll go get me one.
He has also got a lot of guns over there, where I say.
If you live in that area, I think you got guns, right?
Yeah.
Because you live over there for a reason, and the main reason is to shoot shit.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of shit to shoot.
True. Yeah.
Not kangaroos.
True.
I mean, there's deer everywhere. There's hogs everywhere. You got all these
Axes.
exotic ranches and
Yeah.
all your axes. And, yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
When was the last time you went to the ranch?
I was there probably a month ago. Yeah. We've been doing a lot. It's been the last
busy,
few
man.
weeks. So
A lot of
my
activity.
plan is to get out there. I saw an aoudad
Oh, baby.
on the camera last night.
You let me shoot it? Can you shoot an aoudad?
It's a massive. It's the biggest aoudad. Yeah,
Really?
they're all year. It's not a native species, so you can shoot them
You
at
can
any
blast.
time. And it was massive. You can tell because the horns are very spread out, but then they wrap around, and when they're like at their shoulders, it's an old, mature, big aoudad.
Really?
And this one was massive. I'll put
Have
it
you
up.
seen it once or
I'll-
twice, or like, is it coming back?
I think it's been on the camera twice in the last couple of days.
All right.
And then there's been one big buck out there, and I don't know what happened. It's got one antler that's sticking out. It was probably a 10-point buck, but it's only got one prong.
Yeah.
And I sent the picture of the screenshot to my neighbor out there. I said, "Man, you are a terrible shot." Thinking that he blew
one of them
four
off.
But he's been there the last 2 nights as well. But nice buck. But
How does that happen? I mean, how do you lose one antler? I mean,
you
do
know,
they shed
when they're in the rut and the males are fighting with each other, that's how they fight. They lock
Yeah.
horns and they get them stuck to each other. And
And
he
then they
probably
just
was
rip
fighting
off.
another male. And they were trying to impress a female. It happens very much like a male human would try to impress another
I've
lady.
never gotten my rack stuck anywhere trying to impress a woman.
Well, you're still young. Bryce.
You never know. You never know.
You got a few years to go. Okay, let's fly through these parts. We got 2 more, right? This
Which
is
one?
H1150, right? This has to be H1150.
This is 17.4 H1150.
I can tell by the color, right?
Yeah, that's right. They call it a shoulder screw. It's a 5/16/24, I think was the thread pitch on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got an oversized hex head, so a little thicker. It's got an undercut. Let's see if I'm always terrible
You
with
gotta
it.
put the hand in the back.
I'm not that. So it's got a little undercut under the head. The shoulder here, 5/16/24, 17.4, H1150. So it's got that like little purplish, bluish, grayish.
What makes
hue
it that
to
color? Why is it that tint?
Think when
is
you
there
take-
an element in it?
I don't know. 718 does it. I think precipitation hardened alloys, for some reason, turn a weird color when you age them.
Okay.
So I don't know
So it's
exactly why
probably
that
some
is.
type of weird oxidation on the surface.
I'm sure it is because back in the day, Special Metals had a 718. Because normally if you ordered like 718 API and ACE, it would come in. The bar would be like a purplish, bluish hint, kind of like this, but even more so.
Yeah.
And the Special Metals had one. Theirs was black, and it was weird because everyone else's was bluish purple, and they had one that was black. So people called it like, "Hey, I want the black 718." It's just I don't know what they did. Maybe they finished it different. So I don't know exactly
Okay.
how and why that is, but it is cool. It's an interesting finish to
It's
the
a
part.
neat part. It's
It is.
something you're not going to find on the shelf. It's a weird material. It's a specific shape,
Very special.
and
This is going.
exactly what we do.
This is going into a military application too. So.
Okay.
It's funny. The military side of the business has been ramping up, man.
Yeah.
It really has. So cool part there. This is an interesting one. What does that look like to you?
It looks like I've called it the tombstone.
The tombstone?
The tombstone. But I think it's a lifting lug. But instead of welding that onto a vessel, if you look at the bottom, it's threaded. So I think they weld on a little weld stud onto the vessel, and then they thread that on so that they can take it back off, and it's not welded permanently onto the vessel. So
You think so?
it's got to be, because I think the radius here allows for the clearance to put a hook or a pin or something on it, and I think it's going to be for a lifting purpose.
It looks like Pac-Man to me.
The little ghost on Pac-Man?
Yeah.
What were their names?
I don't remember. I was never a
They
big
did
Pac-Man.
have names, yeah.
I think they were like Pac-Man ghosts. Did they really have names?
It's kind of like the Seven Dwarfs or something like that.
With
Izzy,
Happy
Fizzy.
and-
It's
Was
like-
it really?
Yeah, something like that.
Huh. Maybe you should. Here,
Let me
I'll
look
look
it
up since you have all your.
Yeah, that's true.
You have all your shenanigans.
So the
going.
Pac-Man ghosts, what are their names?
So we
It's
talk
like
about
it's
this.
kind of like the Seven Dwarfs. It's the
Pac-Man.
happy.
I just had
grumpy.
It went away. Ghost.
There you go. What are their names? You didn't put names on
All right, I know. I'm not the
it.
Jamie
Of the
names.
Rogan podcast.
Yes. Blinky,
There you go. Blinky.
Blinky, Spooky, Golbus, Mesmerin, Betrayus, Bash. I think it goes pretty crazy here. So it's Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde from the Ghost Gang.
Yeah.
Act as the main antagonists of the Pac-Man series. Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde.
You never played Pac-Man?
I did, but I was a little too young, man. I mean, that was like a little before my time. I mean, I remember it as a kid, but dude, we were playing like Tecmo Bowl.
So you may or may not know this, but there's a pattern that immediately when the game starts, there's this music that plays, and right when the music winds up, immediately you grab the joystick and start to move in this direction and go down. Then you go. There's a pattern, and you memorize that pattern. And then on the first level, it's that pattern. Then it goes to another pattern on another level.
Really?
But you can.
Did you know the pattern?
I memorized the pattern.
Could you do it today?
About 6 months ago I could, because Andrew and I, we loved Pac-Man growing up. So I was forced to learn the pattern again. But it's kind of like riding a bike. I think if I picked it up right now, I'd struggle with it, but you'd quickly pick it back up. And it's weird because it's a pattern that, the ghost will come around and it'll try to grab you and it'll get right there before you turn a corner.
Right.
But you have to do it in that order, otherwise it's very difficult to win.
Really?
And it's very random.
I didn't know that.
But if you do it in a pattern that you memorize,
You'll win every time.
You'll win every single time.
How about that?
Yeah. Unless you
go crazy. I mean, that's
unless you miss a corner,
Sure.
you do it too quick and then you stall and then, so there's a pattern. I mean, there's a lot of people that's watching this that'll know what I'm talking about.
Atari, right? I mean, that was the gaming console that was on.
It started there, yeah.
Right? And then it was like a video game, like an
I still
arcade
remember
game.
when Atari first came out, and on my first console, I think it was I bet I was probably 5 or 6 years old. It was probably 81, 82.
Tennis was a shit on Atari. I mean, that was my favorite game on Atari.
Well, I don't know if they had tennis, did they?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was the second or third one.
Yeah, maybe they did.
But they had Pong, right? Where
Pong and then they had Tank. Remember Tank?
No.
It was this weird, simple game that just had this deal where the tanks would go around. And it was similar to tennis, I guess, but you were trying to shoot each other.
I don't remember
It was
Tank.
And Kaboom, and then you had the little paddle controller that twisted like this, and you had a little barrel, and this dude was dropping bombs, and then you'd have to control the barrel to catch the bombs.
So let's just talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
We went from talking about this part to Kaboom on Atari.
Well, it does look like a Pac-Man ghost. Inky,
Isn't it funny
Blinky,
how far we go
and
from
Clyde.
a part to... we say it every week.
nobody's
we
watching right
digress.
now anyway,
That's
so it
true.
doesn't
We're probably in like our 25th minute. That's when it goes to 0 watchers.
Episode 43. We talk about politics, the price of oil, guns in Texas, Pac-Man ghosts, Kaboom,
So we went to this...
and bluing on H1150.
We went to... My wife and I went to a gala last night in Brazoria County and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I was sitting with this guy. We were talking about the podcast, and he's a teacher, and he was considering starting a podcast about like all the stuff that teachers deal with on a daily basis. I thought that would be a really funny one to watch. Just all these crazy. He's in high school. He's a teacher in high school. Just all the crazy things that people in high school, teachers in high school, see.
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm thinking at the same time. I mean, since we're telling stories, we have a banker that we're close to. And he works for Frost Bank now.
Yep.
And just so happens yesterday he brought he had his executive in town. He's like an executive vice president for Frost Bank, and they were taking him around to visit clients. And they brought 8 or 10 people, and we were sitting in the room, and they had this guy sitting next to me, the executive vice president for Frost Bank. And we're talking about, he had mentioned to me that I guess in preparation for the meeting, that
He watched the podcast?
He watched the podcast.
Dude.
And we were joking around about, I'm sitting in the room joking with Executive VP from Frost Bank about bolts and hose.
Yeah.
And he had said he was working out the night before, and he had his headphones in, and he was listening to the last one with you in Austin. So I'm thinking in my mind, what in the world are you guys talking about?
Right.
What in the world is he
couldn't have
thinking
been.
right now? But we're getting a lot of exposure with this bolts and hose.
It is
We're talking
funny,
about a Hispanic gala.
Yeah.
We're talking about the executive VP of Frost Bank.
It is funny, man. I'm telling you. It's
Yeah.
getting, if you look, we've talked about it before. The views aren't there, but for somehow people are watching this.
That's true. Yeah.
Somehow, some way, it's interesting.
Well, we're getting pretty diverse on the topics we cover.
That
I mean,
is
we
true.
literally sat down here and turned on play on the camera, and we had no idea what we were going to talk about.
Hit it all.
Yeah.
So back to this.
Yep.
She took the part, I was gonna do this. So that was a 1-inch pin, and it went right through this 1-inch hole. The parts didn't go together, but it was just interesting. We had a pin that went through that hole. So this is
1
made-
inch is a common
It
diameter,
is,
right?
it
I
is.
can see the designer putting 1 inch on that and
It is.
using a 1 inch pin.
So B16, 1.25 inch 12, so fine thread on that drilled and tapped hole. Cool radius, nice and thick, it's girthy piece. That's about all I have. I mean, that was all machined out of round bar. So
Do you think we could have brought plate?
not B16. That was my original thought. Is
Okay.
like, let's cut plate, but
Yeah.
B16, you're not finding B16 plate.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I guess you could bring in 4140 and sprinkle a little vanadium on top.
So, perfect example of somebody getting creative. You bring that to us and you say you have to have B16. A lot of people are just going to stop dead in their tracks and say, no, it can't be done, or how about a different material? And we say, no, we can do it out of B16. It's going to be a lot of work,
Right.
but we'll do it.
We do it all the time. I mean, that's one of we try to get as creative as we can. We think about outside the box, like welding parts or, machining parts or fabricating parts, cutting things out of plate, doing forgings, doing hex bar. I mean, we're always kicking around different ideas to make it cheaper, faster, quicker for people. But, when they want something, someone called in the other day, wanted a B7 hex nut.
Mm-hmm.
So offered them grade 7, but they wanted it machined from B7 long. Okay, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what are you gonna say? No, we'll do it. We do it all the time. So,
You say jump, we say
yes, sir.
how high.
Of course,
How
we say.
high?
I know. Of course, it's how high. Yeah, go a little different.
We say, okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, good podcast, Bryce.
Was
And,
it?
What are you doing this weekend?
I'm actually moving, so this is a big weekend.
You're already moving?
We're so I have 2 kids. I have animals in our house, and we are putting our house on the market if anyone wants to buy it in Pearland.
So you're packing. You're not moving.
We are moving a lot of stuff out, so we're decluttering.
Okay.
Again, we have a lot of craziness.
So you're
in
not
my
moving
house.
into the new pad.
No.
Yeah.
The new house is probably less than a month away.
Yeah.
So we still have time, but we're just getting all the junk out of our house now.
Cool.
Like all the swings.
So you're closing on that property, and we're closing on this property at the
almost
same
the
time.
exact same time.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
stressful. Huh?
Yeah, I'm just vomiting money. It's coming like, wow.
It's okay. It's all for the best.
It
man.
happens. You work hard to spend all of your money.
That's true.
And it doesn't matter how much money you make, you still spend it all.
And then what you don't spend, the government pays.
Yeah, so you might as well spend it all.
Yeah.
You might as well enjoy it
Yeah.
because you will find ways to lose it to the government or gambling.
But we love giving money to the government.
We love it. Yeah. Love
Because
it.
it's so well utilized.
I started hiding it in a shoebox.
Really?
Yeah. That's what they did back in the day. So I said,
Now the tax man knows where you keep it.
you're right. I'm not doing that anymore. All right, my man.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Have a great weekend.
Podcast 43. Thanks for watching. As always, comment, like, share,
All
do
right.
whatever you do.
Mike Ryan, College Station, here we come.
Here we come. Party
All
on.
right.
Party
Have
on.
a good
Wayne.
weekend, guys.
Adios.
Boats and hoes, I gotta have me